Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. For the last two episodes, we showed off this really cool team with Sirfetch'd and Primarina. It's a rental team, so feel free to try it out yourselves. I'm so excited for the first game already today because we're going up against Pikachu, Tsareena, and a Seismitoad. That's probably GMAX Lightning Rod Pikachu, which I believe is now legal through the raid. So that's very exciting. I'm super excited to just play this game out. So yeah, feel free to try out this rental team yourselves, and let's just jump into the first game of today's episode. This is one heck of a team. You could also max Pikachu and max Geyser. Does it get access to Surf? It does, right? I'm pretty sure. You max Geyser, which allows Seismitoad to sweep through. That was crazy. What's my Pikachu counter? If only we had a grass type attack on Goodra. We don't, right? We have Dragon Pulse, Thunderbolt. We could change the weather with Max Flare, but that doesn't seem great. I don't know how to approach this Pikachu matchup. I'm not gonna lie. Excadrill works. What we could do actually is bait an attack into Excadrill. So for example, lead with like I don't like Mimikyu in this matchup, mainly because there should be Mold Breaker Excadrill on their end. I'm honestly like speechless. I'm gonna go Goodra, Primarina, Excadrill. We'll YOLO it with Sirfetch'd. Although I actually think now that I look at my opponent's team, Corviknight's better because it beats Tsareena, Togekiss, and Excadrill. But I just got like stunned in team preview, so I'm excited to play this game, win or lose. So let's jump into the first game of today's episode. As always, if you guys enjoy Road to Rank, please share support by leaving a like in the video. I'd really appreciate it. Question of the day, kind of just a fun random question, but I'm curious what your favorite team to use in VGC 2020 has been throughout all these last couple of months. Let me know in the comments below. And our friendly Pikachu makes an appearance, so that's really, really cool to see. And today was really exciting for me because it was actually my last day of classes, last day of undergrad, and I finished my last final exam as well. So I officially graduate next week, and I'm very excited for the future. But thank you guys for supporting me throughout all these years. I wonder if Max Quake just dunks on Pikachu. Because honestly, what I want to do right now is just Max Quake, switch Primarina out into Excadrill. I mean, if we knock out the Pikachu, we're in a pretty good spot. And I don't think Goodra is actually threatened very much at all right now. So I'll take this lead. What I was actually worried about, so I wanted to lead the Excadrill. This is actually cool too because we actually get to Dynamax the Goodra and actually use Max Quake, which is not a very common attack on it. But the reason I didn't bring Excadrill was because what I was worried about was Pikachu plus Seismitoad comboing into me. I think Pikachu gets access to Surf, right? I'm pretty sure, having used it earlier in the season, but it's been a while. And I know a bunch of people were asking, like, oh, when are you going to try out GMAX Pikachu? If you are newer, you can go check out some previous Road to Ranked episodes. We played with a couple of Pikachu teams throughout the course of the beginning of the season. What's interesting here, though, is that Pikachu is not maxing, which might have meant just a Fake Out or an Electric type attack into Excadrill. I'm worried about something else, but I think Dynamax Goodra actually made a lot of sense in this matchup. Let's see. Wait, they are maxing. Is Tsareena maxing? I mean, it has to be, right? Pikachu's not that slow. That might be a problem. Yeah, that might be a problem. Okay, that's very cool. That's why I should have brought Corviknight. Oh, boy. That being said, it's not the end of the world. I mean, Goodra doesn't match up that poorly against it. Yeah, he actually helps for Fake Out into Goodra. Okay. The fact is that we're faster, too, which means we can just max Wormwind, which is pretty good. Okay, so we 1-hit KO'd the Pikachu, which I honestly was expecting to max. But nice proactive play by my opponent to not max it, honestly. If they maxed it there, they would have been in so much trouble, I think. So we should probably max Overgrowth into Excadrill, yeah. That could be bad. I should have brought Corviknight in this one, but it's not the end of the world for us. Goodra being faster, I think, is actually a really, really big deal. And I think Goodra does wall Tsareena decently well. I mean, it's just a question of what's in the back. But this is also my first time, I think, seeing Dynamax Tsareena, which is pretty cool. Not a very common Pokemon. But Corviknight would have walled this thing completely, because Tsarenas are normally physical as well. So, like, if I had Corviknight, I'd probably just consider sacking Excadrill, just waiting for Dynamax to the end, and then Corviknight should just wall it completely. Seismitoad does end up coming out. Interesting. I don't think I'm very scared of that, right? I'm worried about weakness policy Tsareena. Like, I do think there's a decent chance my opponent is weakness policy, so I don't want to max flare here, I think. We have Sirfetch'd in the back, which is actually really good too, right? Like, because it has a pretty good matchup against what my opponent has out here. And Sirfetch'd is faster than Goodra, yeah. I mean, maybe we can get away with max flaring them. Actually, Sirfetch'd is great for us here. Yeah. Don't mind max Wormwinding this turn into the Tsareena. I don't mind doubling up into Tsareena, honestly. Okay. He's not like Scarf Seismitoad. Just gonna Muddy Water, that's fine. Hopefully no accuracy drop. That makes things trickier after Dynamax then, but doesn't get it. Okay. Life Orb Seismitoad, okay. So much Wormwind is there. I can't tell if that's a Assault Vested. That looks like a Assault Vest to me. It's probably gonna be a Max Knuckle coming out. Yep. Okay, so he's back at neutral, but that's fine. Yeah, I mean, this Goodra is literally taking these attacks so dang well. Okay, so we have Primarina. We have Sirfetch'd. Sirfetch'd is Brave Bird, and Primarina should wall the Seismitoad completely. So what I want to do here, I think, is just bring out Sirfetch'd and max Flare and Brave Bird. I mean, I could Leaf Blade Seismitoad, but I want to say that Tsareena Assault Vested, honestly. And now that Pikachu, once Pikachu and Tsareena are out of the way, I think Primarina wins this pretty easily. So I don't mind going for a max Flare into Tsareena. Yeah, and a Brave Bird. Because, I mean, Seismitoad shouldn't be able to one-shot the Sirfetch'd, and yeah, he protects. Beautiful. Yeah, that's what I brought out Sirfetch'd to kind of bait that out, I think. Alright, so we get the Brave Bird off there. Yeah, I think Max Flare should pick up the KO now. It's a lot of recoil. Nice. Dynamax Goodra with Max Quick was so good for us in this matchup. Okay, so we get that KO, and that's really good because Goodra still has that +1 Spadef boost, plus Grassy Terrain is up, which means Primarina can actually take advantage of that. Plus, the Seismitoad has protected, and we have Mudshot. So now what we can do is actually like protect Mudshot and decrease speeds. But I think it's going to be very difficult for my opponent to KO the Primarina in the back because I got rid of the main two threats, which were Pikachu, hilariously enough, and Tsareena. I mean, Pikachu is actually the #1 threat for it, which is exactly why I wanted to switch out on turn 1. So Dynamax Tsareena, which is really cool to see. And they have Primarina in the back, which is fine by me. Yeah, that's more than fine, I think. Because what we can do now is go for a Mud Shot onto the Seismitoad to decrease its speed. And go for a Leaf Blade. Or I guess, I mean, we could just KO Seismitoad, couldn't we? Yeah, and Sirfetch'd is faster, so I actually don't mind just Mudshotting. You could go for a double protect, I guess. That's my one fear. Actually, the safest play, I think, is just a Mudshot detect here. Because Seismitoad maybe one-shots us with Life Orb now. Oh, he actually goes for the double and gets it. But that should be a Moonblast into Sirfetch'd then, I would expect. Alright, we're faster with Goodra against Primarina, which is good as well. Actually just opted for Hyper Voice. Okay. It's not going to do anything to Goodra here. Plus, we still have our Citrus Berry. Yeah, it's nothing. Okay, not bad. He's Throat Spray, though. Grassy Terrain will end soon enough as well. Surprised he didn't go for, like, Earth Power there. I mean, now I think I want to Mudshot and Leaf Blade the Seismitoad. I think with Mudshot, like, we should have this due to speed control. It actually might have been better to switch Sirfetch'd out there. Actually, I think that's the play. Although Mudshot could miss, too. I mean, that last turn I was also thinking, okay, Primarina protects her. Then that should be game. Let's see. Yeah, he's gonna Earth Power. Let's see if Life Orb Earth Power KOs Sirfetch'd. No, it doesn't. Okay, so we would have been fine last turn anyway. Dude, Sirfetch'd and Goodra were so good for us here. Leaf Blade gets the KO, very nice. And now we can just Leaf Blade to KO the Primarina as well. So, In the end, actually, I guess not having Corviknight was fine, but I do have to admit I was quite scared. I still don't know the item for sure on Tsareena, but like Max Wormwind did as much as Iron Head did, which makes me think it's Assault Vested. But I can't say with confidence. But Sirfetch'd was actually the perfect late game Pokemon, and finally we get to Dynamax Goodra with this team, and Max Quake is super interesting because, you know, for example, like, it's one of those attacks where, like, sometimes you just don't see coming from something like Goodra or Milotic, where because it's coming from an attack that normally you don't use in Mudshot, it often catches people off guard. But, yeah, I wasn't expecting Dynamax Tsareena, but I actually think it was a good decision on my opponent's end to Dynamax that. And in the end, Goodra was actually just really difficult to KO. Because if you look at what my opponent brought, there was pretty much nothing that threatened Goodra. Pikachu doesn't threaten Goodra whatsoever. Tsareena can't touch it other than Max Knuckle, which we saw literally do like 10%. Primarina is the one thing that maybe gets some pressure on. After you get the Hyper Voice off, then you can get the special attack boost through Thread Spray. But, you know, like, once we got the special defense boost, Goodra was just so tanky. Plus, we had some really good answers to the water-type threats. And, yeah, Seismitoad obviously can't really touch Goodra. So, Togekiss not coming out in that matchup was honestly a big relief, because I think that maxing always can give this team some trouble, depending on what kind of set it is. Needing to play pretty smart around it. But, yeah, pretty cool to see Pikachu, Seismitoad, and Tsareena. I think there's definitely a lot of inherent synergy there. And, yeah, I think that was a perfect game to showcase why Goodra could be good. Like, Mudshot was actually good for speed control. Not that it ended up being relevant, but because I had it, I felt very confident in the late game. And then being able to just max quick a Pikachu was really nice. And you give, Goodra a single special defense boost, and it's basically like it has Assault Vest, right? But we still have Citrus Berry as well. Alright, this is a really interesting team for the next game. It's got a lot of scary stuff. Like, anytime I see Sableye, that's super scary because of the threat of Quash. I have to be worried about so much here, honestly. Okay. This could be a Dynamax Goodra game again. Mainly because of Max Quake, which can dunk on Torkoal, which is often a surprise for people. I do like Mimikyu here, mainly for play rough into their Sableye. Guess it's not that great otherwise. Dynamax Primarina feels good here. I mean, I think the main Pokemon you Dynamax with that team is almost always Braviary or maybe Mimikyu. The others are all rather support-oriented / Pokemon you don't want to Dynamax. Feels crazy that I still want to bring Corviknight into this because they have a Torkoal, but it's just really dang good against everything else. I like leading Primarina here. Put some pressure against Sableye as well. Primarina, maybe I conserve Corviknight for the back. Because we need to knock out the Torkoal before dealing with. Okay, let's go Primarina, Excadrill, Corviknight, and Sirfetch'd, because today is probably our last episode with this team, and I want to bring Sirfetch'd as much as I can. That being said, it might be a pretty big compromise to bring it here, because Goodra looks pretty damn good. Maybe we should have just focused on Goodra today, but I wanted to see what Sirfetch'd could do. It did not disappoint in that last game. And once again, one of the things I think in bringing a Pokemon over and over again is you figure out exactly like what matchups it's actually good in, what matchups it's like not good in. As it's Braviary and okay. The only thing I'm worried about right now is Trick Eject Button. I'm actually very worried about that. Because Primarina looks really good on paper here. I really don't want to get tricked here. I do think there's a decent chance they have it, honestly. Okay, for that reason, I'm not going to Dynamax. And I'm just going to Moonblast Ironhead Sableye because we have Corviknight, which walls Braviary really hard. I don't know. The tricky thing about Best of 1 is not knowing whether they'll have Trick Eject Button and stuff. Did I have a better lead against Sableye and Braviary in this game? Goodra, maybe, because we could max Lightning into Braviary. I don't know about that, though. Okay, let's see. Show me Trick. I called it! I called it. That's so good that we don't get tricked now, then. And Sableye gets stuck with an Assault Vest. Oh, he actually... Oh. Wow, okay. He targeted Excadrill. Huh. I guess I'll take that turn. I mean, I wasn't going to max Excadrill either way. I really thought they would prioritize... Like, because I was very heavily leaning towards maxing Primarina. Although I guess I'm glad I didn't, because if I maxed it, it would have gotten to a KO anyway. Anyways. I mean, the big question is, did they bring Torkoal into this matchup? Because if not, Braviary... I mean, sorry, Corviknight just walls them completely. Even if they do have Torkoal... Did they bring Sylveon in? Okay. Well, we don't have Versace anymore. But Corviknight walls these super hard. Well, I really thought the trick would go into Primarina. I even called it, but it didn't end up being in the correct slot. I don't want to switch in Corviknight because I don't want that to take any unnecessary damage. So I don't mind. Actually, protecting Excadrill seems to make sense here because if they attack, it basically gives me a free switch in. Yeah. Theoretically, we could still Dynamax Excadrill in this game, too. So I'm just going to Hyper Voice here and actually protect Excadrill. Huh, would have thought I called the trick correctly, but on the wrong Pokemon. That's interesting. Almost normally, when you see Trick, it happens to be just on the same Mon to prevent them. Yeah, they're going to Knuckle. That's fine. Okay. That's fine, because now I get the free switch in into Corviknight. Yeah. I didn't know if Sylveon... Actually, I mean, I could have just... Oh, no. I was going to say I could have Iron-Headed there, but that doesn't make sense. Protect is always the best play there. Yeah. Because now we can Dynamax Corviknight. And we can actually max Airstream ourselves, I think. That's what we want to go for. Hyper Voice should be... The only problem with this is I don't like Corviknight even... Oh, God. That actually took way too much damage for my liking. I mean, that was 61 damage. Is that Specs? That looks like Specs to me. I still think we Dynamax the Corviknight, though. Leaning towards, like, protecting here, Dynamaxing, and max Airstreaming. Let me see who I have in the back again. Sirfetch'd. Yeah, I mean, we need to knock out Braviary. I think that's by far the biggest threat to us. So I'm going to protect. Might have been... Was it more worthwhile to just sacrifice Excadrill that last turn? Maybe. The fact that I took 60... Like, a third of Corviknight's HP before maxing is not good for us. I'm hoping here they just max Knuckle into Excadrill. Another threat could be Yawn from Sylveon. That did look like Specs damage, but I guess Corviknight is not known to be, like, a specially defensive Pokemon. That being said, I don't know. 61 is an insane amount. Like, 1/3 of my health is a lot. So I'm hoping here they just... Knuckle Hyper Voice into Excadrill. Good Airstream. Very good Airstream. That's a really, really good play by my opponent. I mean, maybe it wasn't Spec Sylveon. Okay, he did Hyper Voice again. We could have Iron-Headed there. I didn't feel great about that. Okay. Full Airstream in return. I guess the problem now is that Braviary can just close combat, right? Yeah, my opponent was very smart in going for the Airstream to make sure that I stay slower for another turn. That was a really smart play. I think you close combat Excadrill here, though. +1 speed. He's at +2 speed. Pretty sure Max Airstream should knock out Braviary now. And I do think you close combat, so I guess I give up Sirfetch'd because I kind of need Excadrill to deal with the Sylveon. This Braviary caused me a lot of trouble, though. And my opponent made a really, really good read this last turn. Okay, let's see if he close combats the Excadrill slot. He might have just targeted... Oh, he has Tailwind. That'll also do it. How much is Hyper Voice doing here? Oh, I don't think Corviknight survives another one, does it? I mean, that's probably game then. This Braviary was really, really good against us. And part of the problem was that I didn't lead Corviknight. But I didn't feel super comfortable leading it because of Sableye. I mean, the other thing is that, yeah, my opponent made the crazy good read of tricking Excadrill, but not targeting Primarina. But I guess it made sense, because Primarina, as you saw, was getting 2-hit KO'd by the Braviary anyway. Oh, it is Mimikyu as the last one, though, which makes this very interesting, because we do have Moldbreaker Excadrill. Which does one shot. That being said, I'm pretty sure a Hyper Voice just KOs. I mean, this, I'm pretty sure that's Spec Sylveon. Pretty sure. Can we win this? I mean, you should just... Unless you don't have Shadow, like you have Phantom Force instead. I mean, I'm pretty sure Corviknight faints from a Hyper Voice. It's close, actually. Maybe it survives. I guess I need to bank on it surviving, right? And expect Phantom Force. No Steel Spike, Iron Head, Sylveon. He has Shadow Claw. Yeah, that'll do it then. Was there value in protecting? No. And crit. Wow, who would have thought, like, Corviknight gets beaten? Like, my opponent didn't end up bringing Torkoal either, so they had nothing for Corviknight, but the Specs damage on the switching was just way too much damage. So I guess I should have considered that possibility. Because Corviknight 4v1 my opponent in this game. What I could have done was just let it and bait out the trick turn 1, basically. Like, if I were to replay that match, I think I would just prioritize and actually even lead Corviknight. I mean, turn 1 worked out alright for us. The main problem was this. I mean, Sirfetch'd was absolutely useless. I guess I'd also throw Sirfetch'd away for Mimikyu, probably, just so that I can take a... I have Disguise, basically, to burn and turn a Dynamax, but... Yeah. Braviary is just so offensive, and I do think that highlights, like, with this team, you know, one of the best ways to speed control is just using Max Airstream yourself, but if your opponent can match the Max Airstream, they're just going to outpace you consistently. So I need to put on more pressure against the Braviary, but the threat of Trick Eject Button was also very scary. So, nicely played by my opponent. And, yeah, that was a match where Sirfetch'd was just never really going to do much for us, so if we had something like the Mimikyu, it would have been able to blow a turn of Disguise away. So, I think I would have brought a Mimikyu over as well. Alright, next game today. Pretty standard stuff. I mean, very standard stuff, pretty much, for my opponent here. So if there weren't Rotom, I'd definitely bring Corviknight, but can't prioritize that as much because of Rotom. Goodra is actually pretty interesting here. I like Moldbreaker Excadrill a lot, actually. Yeah, the thing you always have to watch out for these teams is just Rotom sweeping through with Nasty Plot with Follow Me. I do think Togekiss is a pretty safe lead on their end. You could just go like Togekiss Pult, right? I think Excadrill is really important for us in this matchup. I'm not sure I want to Dynamax it immediately, though, but I do think I need to lead it to put on pressure, because otherwise, if I don't put on pressure, Rotom can just... I guess not necessarily can just sweep through, right? We don't have great ways to knock out the redirection users, either. Okay. Gonna go Excadrill. Honestly, Primarina puts on pressure, because we can consider maxing it. I don't like Mimikyu here that much. Doesn't feel that great for Sirfetch'd. I think I'm actually going to bring Goodra and Corviknight, mainly because Corviknight hard wins against everything bar Rotom. I think the last game shows how... And a lot of the mistakes that I've had, I think, playing with this team is taking too much damage with Corviknight before it maxes. The only problem is that if you lead Corviknight, you can often put yourself in really tough situations that they lead something like just can one-hit KO Corviknight, or do a ton of damage even when you're max, for example, Torkoal or Rotom Wash. They're gonna go with Excadrill T-Turn here, alright, okay. Is this good? Is this bad? I mean, I have options. What's interesting here is who do you target with Excadrill? Because what I could do is max one and switch the other into Corviknight. If I'm my opponent, honestly, I'm max quaking the Primarina. I would max quake Primarina. Just to get as much damage off against it as possible ASAP. So I want a high horsepower into Excadrill, switch Primarina out into Corviknight. This could be the same mistake I made in the last game though, but I mean, Corviknight shouldn't take that much damage here. At best, a Crunch or Rock Slide. I just think if I can burn a turn and max into that slot, that would be really good. I mean, it's pretty safe to target my Excadrill as well, I guess. He protects Tyranitar. Okay, that's really good. It might just be EQ then? Yeah. I will take that. Now, what they could do this next turn is actually self-EQ to activate Weakness Policy, which would be interesting. If he's Life Orb here, we would just KO in return, though. He's not. And we hit High Horsepower. That's good. And he sashed. Okay. I mean, that's not surprising, but yeah. That being said, what this allows us to do is actually protect and max Airstream into the Excadrill. The logic behind that is now Excadrill outspeeds anything that could be waiting for us in the back. I think that's alright. Yeah, because I do have to worry about Dynamax Dragapult still. Although what they could do is Earthquake and then max Darkness or max Rockfall into Corviknight. That being said, even a +2 Rockfall isn't going to do that much, and then you've committed a fair amount of damage onto your own Tyranitar. Yeah, so I mean, that turn 1 played out alright, honestly. I was expecting Excadrill to max, but it made sense that it didn't, because Excadrill Max War is always kind of tough to play around. They switched T-Tar out. That's pretty ideal. Into Rotom. That's very ideal, I think. I guess the problem here now is that they're definitely going to have Togekiss or Clefairy in the back. So, while we knock out Excadrill, they can go for, like, Follow Me Nasty Plot, potentially. Which means maybe maxing here was... But I didn't want to risk any potential speed ties. I want to guarantee to knock out an Excadrill. Relatively safe spot for Corviknight to max in. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, he just opted for Rock Slide. That is somewhat of a risky play if I just High Horsepower into the Tyranitar slot. But I'll take that. So we get a speed boost now. I do think you bring out one of your 2 fairy types now. I guess the tricky thing is, though, if you bring out the fairy types, what do you do with Rotom? Do you just Dynamax? If you do Dynamax, you don't get to Nasty Plot. And if you Nasty Plot, you have to worry about me just outspeeding you and High Horsepowering afterwards anyway, right? It's Clef. Okay. We have Goodra and Primarina in the back, which are both very good to have. I think the right approach is to probably... I mean, Excadrill should just be Rotom, right? After we knock out Clef. I don't want to gamble here and attack, so I think I'll actually just swap Excadrill out. What I don't like is just Steel Spiking here, because they could Nasty Plot. One play I want to make is High Horsepower and Nasty Plot into Rotom. I think I'm going to switch out into Goodra. I might end up regretting this, though, because Rotom might just sweep through everything. We'll see if they Dynamax or not. Best case is them Dynamaxing and just Geysering into Excadrill. Well, Follow Me. They didn't go for it. Yeah, they went for Follow Me. If I double Iron-Headed then? No, I mean, I still think this is fine, I guess. Especially because we got that Airstream up, so we're faster than Rotom. Yeah, because now what I can do is... I do wish I had... Oh, you just actually Dark Pulsed. Okay, then I think we're completely fine here. Huh. Dark Pulse is very surprising to see there. Okay, because now we've conserved Rotom. I mean, they do stall to turn a Dynamax. When you reveal Dark Pulse, though, that indicates to me you don't have Protect. So I'm going to Dragon Pulse into Rotom. And I think another Steel Spike seems fine, because it guarantees us the KO. And increases our defense for Body Press. Yeah, I'm alright with that. Okay, I think we're in a good spot here then. Clef protects, but yeah, we'll KO through Protect. Which is good. I mean, with Dark Pulse, you could have Protect if your Hydro Pump, Thunderbolt, Dark Pulse Protect. But most of the time, I expect Rotom to be Nasty Plot nowadays. So that's why I wanted to prioritize Excadrill in this game, but needed to conserve it to deal with Rotom. Yeah, there's Nasty Plot. Okay, so that thing shouldn't have Protect. But, of course, now if it Dynamaxes, it can Max Guard. So we still need to be very wary, because this thing could give us some problems in the late game. That being said, even at +2 special attack, I mean, we did so much damage there with Dragon Pulse. The This thing doesn't put on that much pressure against Goodra. Maybe airstreaming would have been better just to guarantee we outspeed the Rotom, but I wanted that defense boost because now what we can do is just body press into Rotom and Dragon Pulse it. I think. Okay, Rotom has to max here in order to max guard. But yeah, I mean, Corviknight should just always... We should always just target Rotom, right? Because we have Primarina and Excadrill in the back, and the Tyranitar doesn't really pressure either of these Pokemon. So if we just Dragon Pulse and Body Press, even if Rotom just one-hit KOs like the Corviknight, I mean, Corviknight will be faster now after the speed boost. Okay. You could max Tyranitar, I guess, but that wouldn't really do much. Yeah, they actually choose to max Tyranitar. I mean, I think Body Press just KOs Rotom here. I guess if it doesn't, this gets kind of tricky, but Corviknight walls Tyranitar completely, which is why I really wanted to prioritize it here. Okay, so we get the Body Press off. Let's see if this KOs Rotom. I think it should, right? Beautiful. Beautiful. Perfect. Alright, that's very good. And we're faster with Goodra too. Nice. I mean, now we can just Body Press to KO the Tyranitar. He's gonna max Knuckle us, that's fine. Yeah, Corviknight's just so good against so many Pokemon, but you have to play with it properly, and I think, like, this episode shows how you can both play with it properly and play with it incorrectly, and I do think I messed up that second game a little bit. You just can't afford let it take too much damage, especially when it's not maxed, because it's just so much of your health that you're compromising. Yeah, I mean, we have 4 Pokemon still at full health. Or 3 at near full health and an Excadrill, so we just go for attacks here. Not much Tyranitar can do. Yeah, given that, I think, like, an initial Nasty Plot could have made things a little trickier, but that's why I wanted to go for that max Airstream earlier on, so that I could outspeed stuff in the back. Because once we get us, like, any damage off against Rotom, as you saw, was, like, relatively frail, right? It doesn't take attack super well. Kind of similar to Corviknight, where it's like you kind of want to max immediately. If you don't max it, you want to make sure you get your setup properly. But because my opponent didn't max it, and then the turn, like, basically, you want to follow me a Nasty Plot always, pretty much. But because they opted for the Dark Pulse instead, I was in a really good spot. But that's also why I wanted to conserve Excadrill, because Goodra was a very good Pokemon to wall the Rotom as well. So, kind of cool to see how this team matches up against some, like, more meta-standard teams. And while Rotom looks very scary on paper, basically Corviknight beat everything else, and after a speed boost, Rotom wasn't nearly as much of a threat. So, yeah. That's going to be it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon. Alright, peace.